Bagseed Chronicles is a podcast about cannabis.
She's like, we're going to have to put you on a methadone program. And I was like, the fuck you are.
Hello, friends. It's been too long since I have been able to host an episode of the Bagseed Chronicles. Welcome back. I'm glad you've chosen to listen today. Today I have an excellent interview with Jenny, also known as Indica Alien. She is a glassblower and a cannabis content creator on Instagram. You can follow her at Indica _alien_. Her old Indica Alien account, unfortunately, got destroyed by the evil gods of Instagram, for they rage at the cannabis creator, much in vain. Anyway, but before all that, I have a wonderful garden update for you. But how about some banter first, right? I was super fortunate to have a friend who was backed up against the rain, and they had plants that were too big, and so they didn't have any room in their drying area for any more weed, and the rains were coming, so they had me come out with a couple of bins, and me and my silent partner went out and were able to pick it out in like little 18-inch sections, and we actually came home with 2 bins full of weed. And so even though I didn't have the best harvest ever this year, we get by with a little help from our friends, right? So I've got some smaller buds that are still from some outdoor plants, so they're still pretty big. And I've got those drying, and those have been slowly coming down, so I've been trimming the past couple of days. But yeah, I've been having a good time, and I'm sitting on a lot of weed, and I've been able to smoke big. So I'm pretty excited, and I hope you're able to smoke big this harvest season too. And let's just talk about the wrap-up of the outdoor season, and let's talk about what I'm going to have going on indoors in my garden. Uncle Dig's garden update. It is November 7th, and we are in gardening zone 8B. But for me, the outdoor season is over. Unfortunately, those little autoflowers were outside, and it was going to be less than 50 degrees for like a week. So I pulled them inside a little bit early, and they're hanging in my garage, slowly drying, and the yield is not going to be much, but hopefully on the next episode of the Bagseed Chronicles, we'll find out what those little gals yielded. However, my 2 indoor autoflowers, the Tangerine Dream, are very big. They filled up my little micro grow area. However, last time I told y'all I was going to feed a little heavier and see what happened. I burned the ever-loving fuck out of my plants. So I flushed them, and I'm back on a more reasonable feeding schedule. And hopefully they'll finish without any of that newt burn hitting the buds. So that's cool. And I got a yield off the Fire of Maroof too, and it turned out to be a hefty yielder, even with just the tips. I had to cut all that stuff out for mites. A lot of the plant I just cut away. I still got 20 ounces of cannabis. That's right, 20 ounces. A little over 1.25 pounds off of that Fire of Maroof too. So I'm very happy. And what that means is that if I'm not too greedy when I smoke, and if I don't give away too much of it, I'll probably have it all year. So I probably have a nighttime smoke for the rest of the year. So I'm super excited about that. And that's really why you try to grow cannabis, right? You want to support your medical needs or your habit or whatever on your own. And if you can even do a portion of that, if you can, I've grown all my early morning smoke and all of my nighttime smoke. And I've been fortunate that other people have been generous, or I've got more coming indoors that I'll have day smoke. So I'm really fortunate. I'm really happy with how things turned out in spite of the mites. And I'm looking forward to the indoor season. But there's some bad news. Remember I told y'all that I had a friend who was keeping the Fire from Roof cuts. Well, that friend got ill, got sick, and the cuts died from neglect. So the Fire from a Roof 5 cuts is no more. So I don't have any more Fire from a Roof plants. Now, I do have some seeds that I saved that I may do a pheno hunt one day, but I'm not going to do it right now. What I'm going to do instead of the Fire from a Roof is I'm probably going to do a photo period run of Alien OG, and I'm going to try to trellis it, and I am going to try to maximize my yields using a trellis net. So I might do that in the garage. I might do that here in my studio. I haven't decided exactly where I'm going to put that larger, taller 2x2 tent for the Alien OG run of the 2 feminized photo periods. So I'm excited for what's coming next in the upcoming indoor season for 2022. And I do believe when I start the lights in the garage, when I'm done drying this last bit of weed, that'll be the start of my next big autoflower run, which I'm super excited. I'm going to grow a bunch of different autoflowers in that 4x4, probably 6 of them. So it's going to be really fun. Stay tuned for that. Let's overgrow the world. Hey, before we start the interview, I just want to let y'all know that me and Indica Alien had a horrible series of connection interruptions and issues during this interview. I have edited out the parts that are most egregious and left some in that I didn't feel I wanted to edit around. I would say that this is one of the best interviews I've probably ever done. And the editing is on point, so enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to the Bag Seed Chronicles. Today I have with me Jenny, A.K.A, also known as Indica Alien. Indica Alien is a cannabis enthusiast, glass collector, glass blower, and just a generally fun follow on Instagram. Welcome to the Bag Seed Chronicles, Jenny. How's your day going?
It's good. Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to have you. It's always exciting to get new people on and talk to new folks.
Hell yeah.
What are you smoking on today?
So today I'm smoking some blueberry cake. I don't know. I like flower. I'm more of a flower girl. I like my indicas.
Okay.
Put me in the couch, you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah, I prefer indicas as well, but I have not been smoking an indica this morning. I smoked a CBD indica earlier, but I've been smoking. The most thing I most recently smoked was a 1 gram joint of Amnesia Haze.
Nice.
And that was the second seedling of feminized Amnesia Haze that I grew outdoors this year. So it's been really tasty.
Oh yeah. Would love to smoke some of that.
Well, you'll have to come to the US of A to do that.
Oh, I know.
And I understand you just went on a trip recently. Speaking of,
yes, I did.
So you're currently located in Winnipeg, right?
Yeah, so I'm in Winnipeg, which is in the province of Manitoba, which is literally smack dab right in the center of Canada.
Okay.
Right in the middle. Yeah.
And then you went out. Where'd you go?
I went out to the West Coast. I went out to BC. So the glass blowing scene out in BC is absolutely huge. Like you can go pretty much anywhere and find somebody that is melting or blowing glass, which is really cool. It's not that big of a scene here. There's, a handful of artists within Winnipeg and like the surrounding areas. But yeah, I went out to BC. It was my second time, but this time I went for 2 months, which was kind of a big deal. I've never done that before. And I fully just camped out back behind the shop. And it was an experience. It was really good. A huge learning experience for me. It was awesome.
That's amazing. So you kind of went on like a weird, like localized study abroad program, though, in a weird way.
Yeah. So essentially there's this artist, Gibson's Glassworks, and he's got a shop out on Quadra Island in BC. So it's kind of it's a trek to get there, right? So you get to Vancouver, you've got to take a ferry out to Vancouver Island, go all the way up the island, take another ferry to Quadra. And so it's kind of, it's secluded, right? And it's like, 2,000 people live there. It's very artsy. I don't know if you heard I kind of describe it as a choose your own adventure cult.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
There was a lot of dope artists who actually came through the shop while I was out there. So I had
Okay.
the opportunity to work with some really, really well-known artists, especially here in Canada. And yeah, it was so dope. It was there's just so much that happened. I don't even know where to begin.
Just like a really open artistic community out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit about glass blowing since we're already talking
Yeah.
about it. So
For
I've
sure.
really been enjoying like seeing the stuff you've made, and you've been making like what I would consider really rapid progress while you were out there
Thank you.
studying at
Wow.
least.
Thank you.
I think I don't
Yeah.
know anything about glass, just like from the untrained eye, just looking at the stuff you were making, like when you first started, like and like recently 6 months ago, and then the stuff you're making now is
Yeah.
like it's crazy how much progress
It's
you've made.
Thank you. It's wild to see and to just getting the feel for the glass and like say, you do one thing and then you try it a different way and you're like, oh shit, yeah, that makes way more sense. And then you start, forming your own sort of techniques to get this like style that you want. And it's getting the grasp of the glass is a very cool feeling. Like it's been unreal. I feel like my last week that I spent out on the island was my biggest like progress week. I started making my little mushy boys with their
Yes.
little bums. And I started with my first one and he just had two little black dots for eyes. And then, you look at my ones now and they've got like, a green eye and a lens on top of it. And it looks way better. So it's that last week for me was where I like really pushed. And I found that was where I found the most improvement. I saw
Right.
the most progress. Yeah. And it's been so cool. Like if you asked me a year ago that I'd be doing this, I'd be like, no way. But, I appreciate like you recognizing that. I've had other artists as well recognize my progress and it feels so good. Like it feels unreal.
Well, it's good. It's good. It's an accomplishment, and you've definitely got a dedication to this art if you're willing to travel and take two ferries and go to an island where 2,000 artists live who all do different
Yes.
things and have different alternative lifestyles.
Right.
But can
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about glass blowing? What are the basic tools of the trade, right? You got a torch.
Yeah. So, I mean, to get into glass blowing, there's going to be some general things you need. You need your torch, of course, but then you need all of your hoses to then run to. You've got your propane and you've got your oxygen. So you can either like buy oxygen tanks and get them refilled, but that's kind of expensive. So I find a lot of people who are doing things on like a bigger scale are going to buy oxygen machines, and it's just going to be, like someone who has an oxygen tank, and
Yeah.
it's the same thing, same idea. And you can actually generate your own oxygen. So then you're filling your own tanks. You don't have to like go buy that. So it is an expensive setup.
Oh
On top
yeah.
of that, you need all of your ventilation, you need all of your tools. So, everything from tweezers and different sizes of reamers to like marvers and
What's a reamer and what's a marver?
Okay, so a reamer it's kind of looks like a little cone shape. It's going to be on the end of a tool. And
Okay.
then so you would use that to like kind of, if you've got a hole in some of your glass, and then you take the reamer and you spin it around in there and it's going to open that hole. So it's going to be, like I said, kind of a cone shape. So the further
Right.
you push it in, also because they're like metal, so you put it in and that right at that spot where it touches the glass, it
Yeah.
cools. So you can actually put the reamer into a hole of the glass. It's going to cool right around where it's touching, and you
Okay.
can pull it up. You can pull it out, so it'll actually kind of pull the warm glass that's still in between. It's kind of cool. So but the thing that I was blown away with was learning how many household items can be tools. Like things that my favorite tool is a butter knife that's been filed
Right.
down.
Okay.
Like there's so many different things that you can use. I was told by one of my favorite glass blowers, he said, go to Value Village, go to the thrift store, go to the the utensil section and just find things, just
Right.
he's like, anything you can think of can pretty much be used. I mean, obviously not plastics and
Right.
shit
Yeah.
like
Stuff that's gonna
that.
melt
But
when you touch hot
yeah,
glass. Yeah.
of course. But like if it can like withstand the heat, spoons for making eyeballs and stuff like
Oh
that,
yeah.
for making like the eyelid, getting that curve in there, using spoons, different size spoons. So it's really cool, kind of learning all the different tools that can be used that you wouldn't think of. You go buy a toolkit and you're not going to get a spoon in there, but it ends up being one of the most handy things you could use. So
Right.
yeah.
So that torch is hot enough to melt glass.
Yes.
It's not quite hot enough to melt metal, but it's very, very
Yes.
hot. Are you wearing a
Yes.
mask while you're doing this?
No, I don't. And it's kind of funny. The different shops have different different rules, right? So you can be in one shop and it's just going to be like immaculate. Everyone's wearing like closed-toed shoes and jeans, or just in case glass falls or whatever. And then you go to a different shop and everyone's wearing slides, and it's yeah, it's kind of, it's different. I mean, I guess.
I've dropped grease on my foot making bacon in my
Yeah,
kitchen and
yeah,
slides, so I would be
yeah.
wearing closed-toed shoes in the glass
Close,
shop.
yes, probably definitely the best idea. Other than that, like just wearing, there's different like fabrics that you want to avoid wearing, but usually wearing like cotton or denim is good because they don't burn as easily.
Right.
So yeah, just kind of, it's hard though because it gets so fucking hot up here. Like
Oh, I bet.
it gets so hot in the summer, so it's really hard, especially being in a shop that's just like out in the middle of the woods, and there's you've got fans going, but that's about
Right.
it. It's really, it's
It
some days you
almost
just
sounds
can't do
as
it.
miserable as some welding shops I've walked into, like where it's just like
Yeah.
hot and they've got ventilation fans, but that's just making
Yeah,
it as hot as it is outside in the summer, which isn't
exactly.
much better.
Well, and then the thing is we've got the kiln on, and the kiln's sitting at 1,050 degrees Celsius. So
Right. So
it's kind
where
of,
do you get the glass that you're putting in the kiln to make stuff with? Do you buy it wholesale or?
yeah, so there's a bunch of different like glass companies that you can buy from, manufacture the glass and
Right.
then sell it. There's like Glass Alchemy, Greasy Glass, Mountain Glass. There's a bunch of different ones that you can go through, and there's tons all over the States and Canada and
Yeah.
everywhere. But yeah, they actually like there's actually a really good little documentary about Glass Alchemy on YouTube.
Okay.
And it's a family run business, and it just shows how they actually, they pull each rod and different colors, they make all the tubing and how they cut it, and it's a really, really informative and really cool, and it's kind of dope that it's a family run business, so kind of like supporting them. But yeah, there's people all over. There's Dink Glass out on the East Coast in Canada, and he actually doesn't make a lot of like stuff. He just makes like knuckles and vac stacks and stuff. So that would be taking a bunch of different colors, or like dichro, which is super nice and shiny,
Okay.
and putting it inside a clear glass tube so that it's fully encased in that clear, and it's called a vac stack. So you're still going to have that tube, but you're going to have it stacked with color. So there's two tubes, one slightly smaller, and then all the color is shoved around it, if you can imagine that.
Oh, I bet that's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's cool to watch. I've watched a couple people do some vac stacking, and it's very interesting to watch. You can then pull it out and wag it or do whatever you want. But yeah, it's been cool learning about, there's just people out there making different tubing for us to use, and they're not that, they're not
Yeah.
making glass. They just are making cool, sick tubing for people to use, which is, I just think it's unreal. Everybody finds their little niche, and
Right.
it's cool. Yeah.
Well, and if you get on Instagram and you explore for a while, you can find people that have found a certain type of pendant they really like making that no one
Yeah.
else makes, or something like
Yeah.
that. I mean, there's a few artists that are like doing weird body horror stuff with
I've
with
seen that.
glass stuff, and you're like, you just made that a mouth, bro. How?
Yeah. 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 I love that stuff. I love the creepy, like horror, like drippy kind of like just like gross, creepy shit. I love it. And I want
I
to get
like
into,
some of it, but some of it
yeah.
ooks me out to the point where I wouldn't want to smoke out of it. But listen, I
Yeah,
don't want to smoke
definitely.
out of like teeth that look like mine. It's not happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was okay. Here's what I'm trying to, my next creation that I want to get into. Tell me if you'd
Okay.
be into smoking out of this. Okay, so you know that I've been making my punandants, which are space alien inspired space junk. Haha, kind of funny. Um, my punandants, but what about making a spoonani? And it's a little pipe, so it's a spoon, but it's got, a little punani on it. I think
Well,
I think I think it's great.
so
I think it's a great
I think a
idea.
lot of other people would buy that. I don't know if I would go for that. I'm maybe I'm a little too modest, but I can think of a few people like right now on Instagram that would love to cop that and like
For
do
sure.
big rips out of it. Yes.
I just like the name that I've come up with, the Spoonani. I think it's
Well, I
hilarious.
feel you have to make it just because you gave it a name. So
For sure.
here's where it gets weird, right? Do you put where are you putting the weed? Are you putting like the junk, as it were, on the like body of the spoon, or is the organ the where you put the weed?
So yeah, that's kind of my idea, was like the top of the bowl where you're going to pack it would be my punani shape. Uh, and then I was thinking of putting like the shotgun hole right at the very end of it. So it would be like the little, little plug at the butt, I don't know.
Yeah, I think people will buy. I'll buy the ever loving crap out of that if you make it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That takes a
I
lot
think
of
everyone
effort to
would be
make
into
something. How
it.
big would it be? Like about like the big of like a 6-inch pipe, or
Yeah, it would probably yeah, probably about like, yeah, 6 inches,
okay,
about that. And then,
nice.
it would be probably regular pipe, and then just kind of like build the shape of the punan on top of the bowl kind of area. So it'd be like the bottom of it would be where you pack it, and then I'd put a little, maybe like an opal for the little clit area.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Gotta sparkle
Yeah.
it up.
Yeah,
So
I have a few.
then eventually does this become a thing where you have bubblers and stuff?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So eventually that's the goal, right? Like I want to level up to the point where one day I'm making bongs, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so hopefully eventually, well, not hopefully, it's gonna happen one day.
Right.
It's just, you gotta kind of start slow. So right now I'm just trying to perfect, and maybe not even perfect, because I don't even think perfection is a real thing, but I'm trying to like really like hone in on my skills of solid work and sculpting solid work before I move into like hollow and bigger
Right.
stuff like that. Like I've made pipes and some hollow disc pendants and stuff like that, but I I feel like the best way to kind of get into it would be the way that I'm doing it. Just trying to get those small little things down before I
Right.
start moving into bigger stuff. But
So like what so you're really proud of those like so those are those kind of some of what you're most proud of, is some of those little shroomy pendants you've been working on, or what's the pieces you've made
yeah.
recently that are most proud about? Like those?
Yeah, so I would say like my little mushy boys,
Yeah.
and my alien heads have gotten really a lot better from what they were in the beginning.
Right.
Um so I started with the alien head, obviously because Indica Alien, it goes with my name, but I'm now trying to make like alien mushrooms, and like mushrooms kind of are aliens. So
Right.
it's yeah, those the mushrooms, and then I've been making pokers as well, like just a little for your bowl,
Oh yeah,
or
yeah,
like a dabber too. I can make those, and I've been really liking the way that I've been getting better at those. So that's nice. I sold a few of them yesterday too. So
Oh, so you sell? Where do you sell your pieces? Speaking of that.
uh yeah, actually, well, right now I'm just selling my stuff basically through Instagram is like my
Oh, okay.
biggest seller. I do have some shop space at the place that one of the places I work here. I actually work in a shop. It's called the Glob Mob,
Okay.
and we have a glass blowing studio in the back. So I kind of work in the shop in exchange for torch time and some lessons. So it kind of like works out for for me there. But
Okay. Cool.
yeah,
So you're making it work. That's awesome.
I'm doing what I can, and in between I'm just trying to kind of travel kind of trying to travel to see different artists and learn as much as I can. Like everybody does things a totally different way, which is kind of,
Yes.
it's cool to be able to say, I'm watching this guy, he's doing it this way, but then this guy does it this way, and that makes more sense. But the other guy did something else that made more sense. Well, I can take both of those and kind of make my own way of doing it, which is, it's super dope. It's very versatile and stuff. But yeah, mostly I've got some shop space at the Glob Mob, Instagram. Of course, some of my friends are coming by and trying to pick up some stuff. But
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah, yeah,
So
mostly
so
pushing in.
so where can
Sorry.
they follow you on Instagram?
So my Instagram is, I have two of them that I use. My main account is Indica __ alien. And then my glass account is Indica _ alien _ glass. So, and they're all tagged in my main account. So
Perfect.
yeah,
So I want to shift gears a little bit because we've been
for
talking
sure.
about glass for a little while.
Mhm.
And I want to talk about your first encounter with cannabis, if you'd like to share it with us.
Yeah. So, okay. So when I was 14, I tried smoking. This might go a little bit off topic, but I tried smoking when I was 14, and I was in my best friend's shed with my brother and a couple of our friends, and we smoked some weed out of a Coke can. And
Epic.
and and then everyone was like, you're gonna get lockjaw from that, and we got freaked out, and I had
Oh
massive
no.
anxiety. And it was kind of a trip. It honestly, like, it scared me away from cannabis for a long time.
Okay.
Mind you, like, I had been put on narcotics at a super young age, like 13,
Oh
to
wow.
try to help with my chronic pain and migraines. And
Okay.
so that kind of, like, over the years, that's what I felt safe taking it, and that grew into like a full ass addiction. Like, they switched me from T3s and then Percocets, and then I'm, taking anything that I can get at that point. And
No.
it was pretty brutal. But then when I was 24, well, I guess when I was 23, I got really, really sick,
Oof.
like losing like 50 pounds almost. Doctors didn't know what was wrong with me, da da da. I ended up, my medicine man, because I'm indigenous, and
Okay.
my medicine man literally saved my life. Like, that's a whole different story in its own. But after that, I was like, I need to get off of these narcotics. Like, they are killing me. So when I was 24, I met someone who really introduced me to, like, cannabis in a proper way, instead of, taking a big hit out of a Coke can.
Right.
And I started with just taking like little tiny bong rips, and then slowly worked my way up. And I went back to my doctor, the original doctor who actually put me on all these pills. And I said, hey, I want to get off of these. And she was like, I told her I wanted to use cannabis. And she's like, no, She's like, we're gonna have to put you on a methadone program. And I was like, the fuck you are.
Yeah.
So I found a new doctor, and he told me that if I could get off of my narcotics for 30 days, that he would give me my medical card. So I was smoking every day. That day that he told me that, I quit. That was November 11th, 2016. So we're coming up on 6 years clean, baby. And
Congratulations.
thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you. And yeah, now I use cannabis for everything. I use it for my pain, my mental health, to help me sleep. I use it for everything. And it's that, along with my medicine man, Red Sky, that has saved my life for sure. I would not be here today if it wasn't for making that switch to cannabis.
I definitely like to talk about the medicine man another time for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We should do that, because oh my God, is that a story? Wow. Yeah.
It sounds
Interesting.
like it, but it sounds like it might be its own thing.
For sure. It definitely is. It would take up a lot of time.
So you've always, it seems like from looking at your Instagram, that you really love to be outside. You even slept out there for a while you were blowing glass.
Oh yeah.
And so you seem to really like it outside. How does cannabis relate to your experience of the outdoors?
I think for me, being outside, I just feel so much more connected to the energy of the earth. Like, my favorite thing to do is to be outside with bare feet and just like walking around, feeling the earth on my toes, or just being like in a forest, just surrounded by nature. I don't know what it is about the nature. I mean, I guess it's just amazing. Everybody loves nature. I hope they should. Anyways, but I feel like it's just, yeah, it grounds me way more. Like, I feel like I can find like actual peace, and like, and also get that full release. I'm in nature. That can take everything, it's awesome.
I definitely kind of get what you're saying. I don't do the barefoot thing, but it's because I have chickens, not because I don't want to.
Yeah, you would have some shitty toes after that.
Yeah,
Or
it's
maybe
like
some
I've done it a few
bitten
times and I
toes.
always end up stepping in it, and it's like, this
Yeah.
isn't the kind of grounding I need. But
No, definitely not.
so do you specifically identify with a symbol of an alien for any symbolic purpose, or is it just a fun name?
Well, okay, so this is actually kind of a fun story. So, I mean, yeah, I'm a weirdo, and I'm kind of like super unique and like whatever. But when I was, like I said, I'm Indigenous, and when I was with my family getting our names, um, my elder told me that I come from the star people. So that was that was like, okay, I am a fucking alien. So ever since I was 21 or whatever, and I was told that, it was kind of it's just kind of how I felt about myself. Like, I'm just not from here. I'm I'm not like these other people.
So you talk about receiving your name.
Yeah.
That's not something I'm familiar with. Could you enlighten me about that?
Okay. Yeah, so it's generally there's like a ceremony, and you get your indigenous name. So you'll have an elder, and they'll kind of go through. She kind of went through a bunch of our like like our past lives.
Okay. Oh, god damn it. Went through past life.
So yeah, went through like past lives, and like things that we have experienced in our past lives that still, okay, like I was a young indigenous woman who was brutally beaten with a rock to the head. And she then asked me, she was like, do you often get like headaches? And I was like, I have chronic migraines. So it's just like, it was neat knowing that like this may have affected certain aspects of my life and whatever. But yeah, it's essentially just a ceremony where you've got sweetgrass, sage, a little bit of singing and drumming to like bring everything together. And then she was given our names
Okay.
through a message, and then just kind of told us, which is, It's cool. My dad has the dopest name. His name is Black Wolf Watching. Like,
Oh,
that's
wow.
just so sick. And mine is Redstone Pipe, which is pretty cool too. It's a pretty powerful name, so proud of that.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So let me see. Oh my gosh, we blew through all my questions.
All of them?
I think so. Yeah, because we kind of talked about the
Wow.
head shop question because we figured out why you were hanging out at head shops. You're blowing glass.
Well, you know what? That actually, I've been working in head shops for the last 7 years.
Oh, have you been working at head shops for the last 7 years? Tell us about that. God damn it. Did we just lose you again? Fuck. God damn it. Dude, this is terrible.
I know.
So let's tell me about your experiences at the head shops, and then we'll cut it off because it's just falling apart.
Yeah, it's so bad. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I've been working in head shops for the last 7 years. It started at this one little shop in Winnipeg, or they have multiple shops in Winnipeg, but I started there, moved up to being the store leader of the biggest location, and then I left there because they were didn't treat people right. And then I moved to a different head shop, and that's kind of where I found my passion and love for like heady glass.
Right.
Was at this next shop, and I was ordering stuff and bringing in some of the dopest pieces, like so dope. And then that kind of fell apart for some very weird reasons that I'm legally not allowed to talk about, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I remember some of like hearing some of the drama on Instagram and not understanding what was going on, but knowing enough not to ask. I'm just like, yeah, something bad's happening. I'm not gonna talk to anyone about it. Like I'm just watching her do bong rips on Instagram. I'm not here for this drama. So
exactly.
So are bongs your favorite way to smoke?
Bongs are definitely my favorite way to smoke. I like doing dabs too, but okay. Maybe I'm just a little lazy. I just, don't want to torch and wait and, whatever. So I just bong rips, easy peasy.
I definitely prefer flower over dabs. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no judgment here. A lot of people are like, dabs are better. I'm like, okay, that's you, bro. I want to roll a joint. I want a bong. Like, leave me alone with that oil sometimes.
That's wild. Me too. I'm the exact same way. And so many, like, all my homies dab all the time. And I'm just like, I like my bong rips,
Dude, and I'll dab, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of more of a special occasion for me than it is like an everyday thing. That's what I say.
Yes, dabs are a treat for me. They're a treat.
Well, and if you do them every day, they're not a treat anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I'm with you there.
Yeah, I was really great having you on the Bagseat Chronicles today, Jenny.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
I've really enjoyed it. Have you?
Me too.
Do you have anything you'd like to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, my glass account, which we've already talked about. So Indica_Alien_glass, or just the regular account, Indica_Alien. I also have my OnlyFans, which has some very nice, spicy content on there, which is just OnlyFans, Indica_Alien, I believe. Just one. You'll find me. But yeah, no, I've had so much fun talking with you today. I hope that we can have a chance to talk again. I've got so much more that we could talk about. So
that sounds great. And I look forward to some of your suggestions, and maybe we can get together next season.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, everyone, Indica Alien, check her out. Jenny, it's been great talking to you. Let's overgrow the world.
Hell yeah.
Hello. As some of you may know, Instagram isn't always cool with cannabis creators. So please follow Indica Alien at her new account at Indica_Alien_. Again, that's Indica_Alien_. You can reach me, Uncle Dig, on Instagram at Uncle Dig. The bumper music on this podcast was produced by Chad DeVilliers on ukulele. He can be followed on YouTube at Ukuleles Are Stupid or on Instagram at Chadwick Enterprises. Thank you for listening to the Bagseed Chronicles.